All right, Devin Carter is number 10. And I did a lot of research for this because I didn't know anything about these guys. I just know the top picks. I know Alex Sarr is tall. That's all I really know. So Devin Carter, number 10 on the list. And he looks good. The thing about Devin Carter is he's old. And he is I got this from someone else, the Jaime Jaquez of this draft. Because he's coming in, he's older, he's played for a long time. He also has a thick neck. Remember, Jaime Jaquez, when you look at him, a lot of times guys, when they go through puberty, when they reach the end of that cycle, they get a thick neck. Their skull changes and they get a thick neck. Devin Carter looks like a grown man. If you compare him to a lot of the couple of guys coming up, you can tell this guy is not young. So he's 22, he has a lot of experience, and from what I've heard is he has killed every single workout that he's been in. He sort of looked more like a developed basketball player, looked more like a adult athlete. So pretty exciting. I watched a lot of his stuff. Let's read my notes. He always works hard. He's one of the best defenders in this draft. He's not particularly tall though. I do know that about him. I believe he is 6'2". But again, he is a guard, so that's not as important. And I've heard what he makes up for in his height. He's very strong. Again, I think that's sort of the age. You develop a lot of muscle mass at that age, or your body is able to. Something happens, right? I feel like when I was in high school, I couldn't bench 2 plates, but there were other people that could bench 2 plates. And then once I got into college, I could do it in my sleep. And it wasn't, I don't even think I worked out as much. But I think there is something in that age where, biologically, you change. Physically, you change, and you become stronger. That has to be science. That has to be some very obvious science, and someone's telling me the stage of puberty that is. Also, I got in a sick brag about how I could bench 2 plates in college. I don't think I could do it anymore. So Devin Carter is great at finishing at the rim. He can contort his body in a really fun way, which it was something I found. That's one thing I noticed in my notes that I took. So these are notes from other mock drafts to give you a sense of what the general scouting reports are. But from what I looked at, the great finishing, and he's very fast. He's very fast downhill. I think he's sort of the sleeper pick. I think some team should definitely, absolutely pick him higher than what I have him going, which I have him going at 8 to San Antonio. I think San Antonio is just going to be smart. This isn't. It's not a risk. Taking Devin Carter is not a risk. That's the beauty of him. Draft older guys. They're more who cares? By the time they're done with their rookie contract, and even if you extend them as a rookie, they're 30. They're 30 when they're, and at that point they become a unrestricted free agent. They can do whatever they want. But I don't understand why we got to get a guy super young with tons of potential when you could just take a guy that you kind of know what you're getting into. And obviously he's going to develop some degree because he's coming from, Europe or the NCAA, and he's going to get good. He's going to get good. He's going to develop. So just take an older guy. That's my opinion. We got Cody Williams. Did you know? I didn't know. I was doing all this research, and then I read, this is Jalen Williams' younger brother. I don't really think they look anything alike. I thought, maybe it's Jalen Williams. And I'm like, no, they don't even look. They look nothing alike. So, but yeah, Cody Williams, what he's got is he's got the feel for the game. That's what it seems like a lot of people talk about. He's got understanding on offense and defense. I believe that was sort of the big selling point for Cody Williams. He needs to hit the weight room, though. You're going to hear this from everyone. He needs to hit the weight room because he looks skinny. He's got pretty good wingspan. He's taller than his brother, but he gets pushed around a lot. At University of Colorado. So when he gets to the NBA, that's going to be a problem. But I think he might be just looked at as sort of a 3-and-D guy, which I don't know. I don't know if it's even true, but all NBA media is always talking about 3-and-D guys, how every team is looking. They're the holy grail of players you can get. And I'm like, Yeah, I guess, man, but you need everything. You just need good basketball players. Just because a guy can catch and shoot and drill threes doesn't necessarily mean that this is the ultimate piece that will change your team. You need everything. You need every skill set. And I guess tall guys that can play defense and shoot threes are more rare. But yeah, it is funny how guys like this, his three-point percentage, he only takes 1.7 threes a game. Man, college games are so short. I mean, he's playing 28 minutes a game. He's a starter, obviously, but he just doesn't shoot that many threes. But they're 41%. But the fact that he doesn't shoot that many, maybe they're all open, because his free throw percentage is 71%. So I think something strange going on here. Obviously, he gets 12 points a game. But yeah, tall, athletic feel for the game. That's all you need to know. He needs to hit the weight room. Great ball handler. Oh, he can use both hands. I definitely noticed that he could use both hands. And in my, he has injuries. That was what I learned from my research. And great lateral movement, both on offense and defense. Catch and shoot guy, but that's what he is ultimately. And I've repeated myself a lot on Cody Williams. I think he goes to Portland, number 7. That's my thought. These are my rankings, but then I'm going to predict where I believe they're going to go. So, Matas Bazoulis. I think, man, I've been saying it right all yesterday. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I think I'm saying it wrong. It seems like he's going 5th. It seems, from the research I've done, it seems as though universally the Pistons love the guy. Maybe he had a good workout there, but it doesn't seem like anyone else is going to take Matas Bazoulis. I remember when he was on JJ Redick's podcast a year ago, because everyone was saying, this is the guy. He's going to go number 1. He's awesome. But he was going to the G League Ignite. And JJ didn't like that. He was like, you should have gone to Duke. And he's like, I'm trying to get paid. And that's what made me like him. I'm like, yeah, I like this guy. He's like, yeah, the ultimate goal is to be a professional basketball player. So I'm going to do that as soon as possible. I was like, I agree. And I think JJ understood. Can't shoot threes, though. I think that's why his stock went down. From my understanding, his stock went down because he just can't drill a three. I guess in high school he was really good at it, but when he got into the G League Ignite, again, I was high on Scoot Henderson last year because he was a G League Ignite player, and that kind of burned me. So I don't really know what's to be said about these There's another G League Ignite player coming up. I just figured the competition would be higher than in Europe or Australia or in college, but I wish that, I don't know. I don't know if we're getting a great sample size of what the G League Ignite was now that it's gone, now that we don't have it anymore. I don't know. It just would have been interesting to kind of see players come out of it and see if it became the ultimate path to the NBA. Probably not. Well, it shut down, so obviously it wasn't successful. So, all right, but he's got great timing, feel for the game. Another guy like Cody Williams. Clearly watches a lot of modern basketball. Does a lot of step backs and stuff. He's definitely wants to be that stretch 5 guy. Stretch 5, stretch 4. Because he's pretty tall. I believe he's 6'9". And he's what? I think he's like 18. So he's gonna get bigger, I assume. But yeah, he's an exciting player, and he seems. I feel like every guy coming out of the draft now is always like the sweetest, humblest person. There aren't. Well, actually, there's a player coming up that seems like he might be a little bit of a diva. So, what are my notes on Matas Bazoulis? He can help defense. He's a great blocker. Most of what you watch, it's him blocking shots. Most of the highlights, because everything's got a highlight reel now. And they're just showing you highlights, so you have no idea how good the player is. Because they're not showing you lowlights, they're just showing what they do well. It's a lot of blocks. There's a lot of switching and getting blocks. So, I'm excited for him. This was so much fun doing this, because I got to learn about these guys, kind of got to know their stories and what they do well. So, it's cool to watch the beginning of their story, and I'm excited for Summer League for all these guys. Reed Sheppard is so small. They say he's like 6'2", but other people say he's 6'1". He's listed as 6'2", but he looks small. And they also said he had the highest vertical at the Combine this year. But I also heard another player had the highest vertical. So, but evidently he can jump 42 inches. I think that's what I heard. That's a lot, right? But he looks like a pipsqueak out there, and I don't say that to be mean. A lot of people have him going 3rd overall, so he's a really talented player. let's look at my notes. Let's look at my observations before I read off the slide. He's Peyton Pritchard. That's what it was. That's what was my observation. Even the way he shoots, like no arc thing. It's just this like dart to the basket. Remind me so much of Peyton Pritchard. But what he can do that I don't see a lot from Peyton Pritchard is drive the lane and dish out or have some really cool finishes. So can come off screens, and he isn't afraid to shoot. He isn't afraid to let it fly, shooting 4.4 3-pointers a game. And if you look at like Cody Williams, it's over double what Cody Williams is shooting. I just don't think they shoot a lot of threes in the NCAA. So Fred VanVleet type, but again, on a good day, because I think he's a pretty good defender. I think that's why 2.5 steals. Yeah, so I think that's why the Fred VanVleet comparison is there, because of the stature and the defensive ability. But when you're watching him on offense, dude, he looks like Peyton Pritchard. I swear. You're like, oh, dude, that's Peyton Pritchard out there. He looks young. He looks like a kid. And I imagine, in a couple years, that neck's going to get thick. He's going to get huge. So he's a good outlet passer. He's kind of got that just like white guy point guard, Steve Nash, field vision type. Not to make it racial, but tends to be that way when it comes to small white point guards. There's a certain skill set that they tend to have. Not that black point guards don't have it. It's just that white guys are never athletic. That's really it. That I have to say now. I've pinned myself into a corner. White guys are never like, oh yeah, that white guy, he can really run down the court and jam it. You just don't see it that much. Let's get out of this. Ron Holland. He is the other G League Ignite player that I like him. I think he's cool. I didn't make these GIFs, by the way. I made a lot of these GIFs because there aren't GIFs online for a lot of these players. But these Ron Holland ones that have overlays that say sassy stuff, Ron Holland owns your poverty franchise. Like, okay, I didn't make that. Ron Holland, future Blazer, didn't make that either. I don't even know if I have him going to the Blazers. I have Reed Shepard going to the Rockets to play behind Fred VanVleet. I didn't mention that. So, Ron Holland has won 2 gold medals with the junior Olympic team. Needs to work on his lateral movement and catch and shoot threes. It's just something he doesn't do. But I believe NBA teams are going to want him to do that. Another great on-court vision guy. You can recognize congestion and not drive the lane, which is, smart guy. And again, a lot of the guys on this list are great rim finishers. That's what I've noticed. I think you kind of notice trends in the NBA and how much they're emulated by the younger athletes coming into the league who their influences are. And I think Kyrie is always, you can just see so much Kyrie in a lot of these players. So not that I necessarily see it in Ron Holland, but the rim finishing aspect of it, these like crazy, spin English shots after getting fouled, pretty cool. And he's always on defense. Always, he can switch on any player, and he doesn't slow down, which is it also says something about your work ethic. It says you're like, I'm not gonna phone it in so I can rock and roll on offense. I'm no Luka Doncic, dude. Luka was brutal in the finals on defense. That needs to change. I know and he looked injured, but it was rough. He didn't switch on to anyone. Back to our rookies. I have Nikola Topic really high. And the reason remember everyone was like, oh, he's like top 3. Everyone was talking about how this guy could be top 3. It's because he got injured. He got like a slew of or he had a meniscus tear, I believe. Yeah, partial meniscus tear. Lowered his stock a lot. So right now he's going around 15. But I still really like him. But one observation I had when I was watching his tape, he dribbles the ball really high. He's good because his main thing is cutting to the lane and creating space for himself. He's a 6'5" point guard. He's good with his shoulders, but he dribbles the ball weirdly high. That could be a problem, it could not be, but I definitely noticed. So people are comparing him to Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic, I can hear it in my head, but I can't say it out loud. Can't really shoot threes, even if he's open. He's 25.9%. from 3. So not great. I could Sacramento or Miami. Miami would be a long-term thing. I don't think they would start him right away. Sac maybe short-term, pair him with Swipa. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Yeah, drive and attack point guard. A great free throw shooter, elite free throw shooter, and you know I like that. Well, if you don't watch the show, you don't know I like that. If you don't watch the show, I like guys that can shoot free throws. Where do I have him going? Is he on this list? Oh, I gotta move to my notes. That fell on the floor. Sacramento at 13. That's where I think he goes, but I still really like him. That's why he's 5 on my list. But I think he goes to Sacramento at 13. This is the assumption that no one makes any trades for anybody. That's what this is. So keep that in mind. If you're like, oh, well, no one's making any trades, he's not going to this team after a team traded up or traded down. I'm just assuming nobody does any trades. But if nobody does any trades, he's going to Sac. Stefan Castle, who I like a lot. I believe this is the guy. He likes to have the ball, man. This guy, I don't know if he watched a lot of AN1 mixtape stuff, but he's a ISO guy. And that was my observation from him. He likes to dribble. He likes to hoop. I enjoyed watching him play. He's a great playmaker too, though. He can't pass. I watched his warm-up tape, his workout tapes, and he's got moves, but playing for UConn, you didn't really see him. He just sort of made the smart pass, and but I think he's got a lot of potential. He's a big guard, and he isn't working out with teams that already have an established point guard. I found that very fascinating. So this is kind of the diva of the group. He's a bad three-point shooter. But a lot of these guys are bad three-point shooters, and the assumption is that they'll figure it out. That's how most teams operate. They don't draft a guy. They don't not draft a guy because he's a bad three-point shooter. I think as long as they're taking three-pointers, we'll take it. We'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes. Kind of jack of all trades, has knee issues, master of none, but that can be good. He's a great defender too, so potentially best defender in this draft. I love these guys. I kind of feel a little bit attached to him. Good to know him. Where do I think he's going, though? I think he's going number 2. I think he's going number 2 to the Wizards. That's just my prediction. It's not that I think he's the 4th best in this draft, but I think he'll go number 2 to the Wizards. That's my theory. Because I think Tyus Jones is their point guard now. We'll see. Zachary Richachet. That's my French accent. Richachet. I'm not going to do a third time. He knows what he's doing, man. He hits the wing on transition for three-pointers. That's what he does. 35% from 3. It's not like insanely good, but it's good. Especially if you compare him to other guys in the draft, it's really good. The 3-and-D guys, like I said, this guy got hot. Everyone's talking about him. He'll probably, what do I have him? Let's just cut to the chase. I got him going number 1 to Atlanta. Great reads, smart off-ball defender too, spatially aware. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's a wing, a long, lean wing. I love it when sports people talk about how long and lean their bodies are, and really get into the specifics of their anatomy. I don't know. It's just something homoerotic about it that I find hilarious. You know what I mean? Unintentionally homoerotic. I love it. He should work on his free throws, though. They're not great. 74%. I guess I'm being a little critical. Can't really shoot jump shots yet. Can't really create his own shot. But can he work on that? Yeah. Anything you don't like about a player, just say, can he work on it? Of course. Yeah, he can work on anything. So, moving on. Number 1 guy in the draft. I must spend no time on his slide. Who cares? I know. Shocker. And here's the thing, because I was listening to Ryan Russillo the other day, and I forget who he was talking to, but he asked them, would you be surprised if Atlanta just says, we'll take Donovan King at 1. We'll just take him. Why? Because he's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to play. And he takes direction well. That's the thing with all these UConn guys, is you have to assume that they're pretty humble. If you ever listened to Dan Hurley in an interview, the way he talks about his players. Or if you've ever watched a UConn game, you can kind of tell it's like, oh, these guys just sort of take direction and get the win. And I think it's very important that Clingan goes to a team that already has some success, man. He's a winner. And I'd hate to see a winning culture guy go to a losing culture team. So I think that says a lot. A guy that's used to winning, a guy that really, doesn't know what it's like to lose, and losing stings really bad is very important. He's a great rim protector. He's a lob guy. I mean, every highlight is either a block or a lob. That's it. You're watching the highlight, it's block or lob. That's it. That's all you're getting. But that's fine. I think he can go out to the perimeter a little bit. Let's see if I wrote that down. Again, yeah, I mean, they do a lot of switching at UConn. So, but I've seen 2 different drafts Portland taking him at 7. So I've seen that. Yeah, he's the safest bet in my opinion. He's a slow perimeter defender. So I was wrong. He's not great on the perimeter. He's not expected to be. When I watch him, he looks a lot like Walker Kessler. That's my opinion. I don't think the ceiling's super high, but I do believe the floor is good enough to have him play next year as your starting center. Player comps, Marcus All, Rudy Gobert. Defensive specialist. So, and, Rudy Gobert, the lob aspect of him. So, I have him going 9 to Memphis, which I like, because I think Memphis is going to be good next year. And I learned last week, I said that Steven Adams was on Memphis. I had forgot. He's a Rocket now. So they need a big guy out there. They need a big guy that can get boards. Is Donovan King the man for the job? I like that team. It's a great culture. I hope that happens. I hope he goes 2. Who's next? Alexander Sarr. I still think he's going number 1 because he's just maybe he doesn't have the skill that Ricochet does, but he's big. He's larger. I forget what his wingspan is, but it's huge. I think people just like his size, and they like that he's shooting, 2 3-pointers a game at 29%, which for this draft, kind of high. 29% for this draft isn't bad. People are saying his highest ceiling is Derek Lively, which says something about this draft. I'm picking him as number 1, and the highest ceiling is a player that went, 10th? I don't remember what Derek Lively went, but he didn't go top 4 or whatever. But yeah, he makes sense for the Hawks. Capella has 1 more year on his deal. You don't even need to necessarily start him this year. Or you could draft him, start him, and trade Capella. Get that expiring contract out of here. I think Capella's pretty expensive, actually. He's still paid for the way he played 4 or 5 years ago. So, seems like a diet Wemby. That's really it. French dude, super tall, can shoot a 3, gets a lot of blocks, gets a half a steal. Same sort of skill set. So, that's... I still think he goes that's my favorite player. Alexander Sarr is my favorite player if I were drafting number 1. But on my notes, that's a check for my mom for my birthday. I already cashed it using an app, and now my mom still writes me checks for my birthday. That ends when you have children. That's what I've learned. Once you have a child, you no longer get gifts from your parents. I have Sarr going 4 to the Spurs. Why? They have Wemby. You just called him a diet Wemby. I think they do a twin tower thing. I think one does the 4, one does the 5. Even though they both have the skill set that they can be stretch 4s. I think that's what we're going to see. And that's really exciting to me. Because we'd have Devin Carter, who I like, and Alex Sarr going to the Spurs. And that's a great, that's a young core of guys on cheap contracts. Young core. I said it. I hate it when people say young core. But I said it out loud. So, I'm really excited for Wednesday's draft. This should be a lot of fun. So, thank you for being here. Be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog.